I would like to request, is Linda here yet? Linda Sarno to join me in the stage, please. Fel Sarno, please join me. Carlene, where's my wife? Okay. Carlene Quinto. Faith Bautista, please join us over at the stage, please. Z. Laurel Contreras, please join us. Yolanda Contreras, please join us. June Castro, the president of the FEU Medical Association, please join us. And also his lovely wife, please join us. The president of the Philippine Medical Association, Dr. Arnel Joaquin, please join us. The president of the UP Medical Association of Southern California, Dr. Steve Fermi, please join us. Dr. Lito Barbaran, the incoming president of UERM Medical Association, please join us. Dr. Josie Romero, of the president of the UST Medical Association. Dr. Bakuli and Mrs. Bakuli, please join us. Dr. Albert and Divina Encina, please join us. Dr. Press Gavino and Dr. Linda Gavino. Dr. Lito and Lucy Barbaran, please join us. Dr. Terry and Joel Pastor. Dr. Joaquin is here, right? Yeah. Dr. Joaquin? Dr. Romero? Dr. Tony and Dr. Jesse Romero, please join us. Dr. Aranias Ibalane, and please join us. The former mayor and the council member of Walnut, Tony Cartagena, please join me to introduce the very special person for the Filipino-American community. Please help me introduce the chairman.
Good evening. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. At mabuhay. It's a privilege and honor for me to introduce our very own Congressman Ed Royce, the champion of all the champions. In January 2013, U.S. Representative Ed Royce became the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman Royce was elected to the U.S. Congress in 1993. Prior to that, he was elected in 1982 in California State Senate. He and his wife, Marie, are longtime residents of Fullerton, California. Chairman Ed Royce has been a longtime champion of the Philippine issues, and as chairman, he advocates strengthening the rule of law and promoting economic growth. From pushing for a legal accountability when prosecuting extrajudicial killings to monitoring property rights that will help create a viable economic investment climate. Chairman Royce is a strong voice for Filipinos everywhere. He is the elected official that can transform the Philippines to become a better country. Stop the land grabbing. This is to respect property rights, enforce the existing Philippine laws. This is to strengthen the rule of law, which are part of the guidelines of the U.S. foreign grants to the Philippines. Thank you very much, Ed Royce.
Say, Marie, come on up here and join me, honey. Come on up here. listen, we also have another great friend of the Filipino-American community, four-time mayor of Walnut, Tony Cartagena. Tony, thank you for all you have done for the community and continue to do. My wife Marie here, by the way, we just had this hearing yesterday at Cal Poly Pomona. Marie is not only a student of Cal Poly, she was a professor there for many years, and it's with her help that we've been able to get the Cal Poly Forum there, both after the Tacloban disaster. We had the head of USAID, Director Shaw, come out to Cal Poly Pomona, and yesterday we had that very effective hearing, and I wanted to thank Marie for her help with Cal Poly. Yeah. And I wanted to just say a word here because up on the stage with us here, we have Z and Faith and Joey, and we want to thank them for their testimony yesterday. How many here were out there at Cal Poly to hear the hearing? I know there's some here, some familiar faces. What I wanted to tell you was that the people that you saw filling the hall, every chair was taken. And then people were up against the wall on all three corners. And then in the overflow room, we had over 500 people there. 500 people, but the media was there as well. And we were sending a strong message. And let me share with you the message we were sending because USAID was there. The State Department was there to testify. And the message that our 5 members of Congress that traveled there for the hearing, that we all communicated, was the fact that land grabbing must stop in the Philippines and in Southeast Asia, and we have to have justice, and we have to have it now. And the reality is also that USAID is involved in investing hundreds of millions of dollars through Millennium Challenge and through USAID accounts into the rule of law in the Philippines. What are we asking for? Rule of law in the Philippines as it relates to land grabbing. And the reason this is such a personal issue, I'll just add this point. I've had a chance to go to the Philippines twice in the last 3 years. Once, of course, because of Tacloban, and we went into an area that had been hit. There was only one person there. Only one home still survived. And guess who was, this came out at the hearing yesterday, guess who was looking for an opportunity? Land grabbers. Now, we know the good work that President Aquino is doing in this regard in the Philippines. But the question is, how do you translate that down to the local level? How do you make that apply to areas in the Philippines where you have the collusion that occurs between well-connected individuals and local members of a city council and the circumstance where public access roads are actually physically blocked? And what I wanted to share with you is my prior trip to the Philippines. We got up very early. I knew one of the areas where this had happened in Antipolo. We drove out. Myself, Melissa Medina, who's Filipino-American on my staff, Nian Su. We brought someone from the embassy with a sidearm. We get up to the area where the road is a public access road. And we notice that a militiaman or a private security guard has blocked the access to the area where 700 landowners formerly were able to access their property. And in their place is this blockade. So I got out of the car in order to try to remove the blockade. Roaring up on a motorcycle is this private security guard with an automatic weapon. And he levels it at my chest. And he says, no one is going down that road. And we say, this is a public road, this is the U.S. Embassy. You know, I'm the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, we're going down the road. No, he says. No, back off. My employer says you're not. Okay, so the question is this. how is it possible at a local level to block these access roads, which are absolutely essential if people are going to be able to get to their homes? Because our concern is that there's a practice in place where first the road is blocked and then people are given an offer they can't refuse, because this is the way some developers take property. So Hernando de Soto, as Joey mentioned to you, has done his studies in the Philippines, exhaustive studies, in order to try to do the reforms to replace what Marcos did back when he was president, which was to goof up the title system. Why did he goof up the title system? Because he wanted to be able to give land to his cronies. He wanted to be able to transfer land to well-connected people in the military and so forth. And he put in place a certain practice that, despite efforts by presidents in the Philippines since, is very hard to put at rest at the local level. We are asking, the question was, what were we asking of our State Department and USAID? Follow through with the mission that we gave you in terms of the rule of the law in the Philippines. Put an end to this practice. Let's have the reform system in place where people can know who has title. Let's recognize title. Let's unleash that $130 billion that De Soto talks about of human capital that is locked up because people cannot borrow against their property or develop on their property, with such a big question mark over the question of what will happen next. Does the farmer or the family own the property, or will it simply be taken away by someone well-connected? I don't want to go on too long tonight because many of you have heard the testimony. You know the issue. You know the issue well. But my commitment as the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee is to continue to make certain that we put in place land reform in the Philippines as it applies to title, so that people have surety in title. You know, De Soto's book is The Mystery of Capital, Why It Works in the West and Fails Everywhere Else. What he brought to Peru was the reform in the title system in Peru so that the farmers and the people could have the same rights that we have in California. That's what we're asking. And in terms of our work at USAID, the legislation that I've pushed allows that aid, by the way, when there is a typhoon that hits the Philippines, allows for the purchase there in real time the day after the disaster, so that the aid can be, so that food can be bought locally for the support of the people, so that we don't have to wait 6 weeks or more for the ships to come in, so that people aren't hungry in the meantime, so that people can start to rebuild their lives in areas like Tacloban. So again, I thank my wife Marie for her patience, because she's gone with me to the Philippines. She's been to Corregidor, been to Manila a couple of times. But I have many friends here that I've had for many years. I thank them very much for their continued focus to make sure that justice is done. Thank you so much.